That's the thing when you're trying new things live. Something could happen. It's fixed now. Today we're gonna talk precisely about trying new things. Me and Steven, which we are making live streaming since 2015. Yeah, 15, yes. And we're gonna share some insights with you because sometimes we had that fear of trying new things, going to the unknown. So today is the day to talk about it.
Oh.
Hello, hello. I'm Marco Novo and I'm here to join. Oh, I'm not Steven. Sorry. Okay. Okay, let me. It's the point of trying new things.
It is, definitely.
Sometimes. Let me see now. Okay, let me bring you to the screen. Hello, Steven. How are you?
I'm fine. This is quite an adventure. This is the first time I've actually been on vMix as a guest. Normally, when I've been on vMix, I've just been using it. So this is new ground.
Yeah,
And,
I'm amazed with the tool, but I had some improvements to make it about it. It's the first time I'm doing this on interview. Thank you for being my, I don't know how do you call the rats to experiment?
guinea pig.
Okay, guinea pig. Well, I have to fix my side the camera, but it's okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, Steven, maybe you should introduce yourself and then we go to the conversation about trying new things and even when
Right.
you're doing live stream, which is even more scary, perhaps.
Totally. I'm Stephen. I'm based in Wiltshire, in England, close to Stonehenge, with my partner Angelica, and I help people go live. And my mission in life is to help you go live. And I enjoy getting together with Marco to actually talk about how we can help people go live. I write Udemy courses, and Marco writes Udemy courses. We've been going live for 5 years. So we just enjoy, have a blast when we actually do go live, because going live is the best way to build a network, to get your message across, and it's just so effective.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we should talk about the first time when we went live on Blab. I think we both had the same experience and how it was. And did you thought a lot about this? Because I think one of the problems when you're starting something in somewhere, it's to overthinking about the problems that may come, about what could happen, about those who are
Yeah,
watching us, and all that kind of stuff. Can you share
yeah.
the insights about the first time on the screen?
My first time, my story. Um, you're quite right. It was Blab, and we're talking 4 or 5 years ago now. Blab was a private system where four people could actually go live on screen at the same time. They could talk to each other live on video, and people in the audience could comment and ask questions. And it was all self-contained, and we're able to talk about any topic under the sun because it was private. Um, and my first experience was I was watching a show from down in Cornwall, and which is pretty local to me. And Phil Aston said, if anybody wants to join me as a guest on camera, press the button now. And before I knew it, I was on camera, and I was talking to him. It was just like we were both in the same room. So I thought, I like this. I can do this. So having been a guest on somebody's show, I then started my own show and invited close friends to actually join me and just to chat about anything under the sun.
And before I knew it,
And that was how I actually started. It was as a guest on Phil Aston's show 5 years ago.
Well, it's amazing because it could be scary. It could frighten us because people always asking, oh well, it could happen this or that or something, or maybe they don't like you, they don't like what you're saying, they disapprove what you're saying, they think, oh, you're what are you talking about? You don't know anything about it, or they may don't like the way you look, the sound of your voice, and every kind of stuff. And we have the other side of the problem, which is the technical problem. We faced it some minutes ago, which is it's it's challenging to go in live because most we sometimes, for instance, here on LinkedIn, you can do the experiments like we could do on Facebook or on YouTube, which we can make live streaming through a group or an unpublished page.
Mm-hmm.
And here on LinkedIn, we cannot not do that. So we have to try new things, real in live streaming. What how do you face it? Because it's the funny thing when you try new things, because it's our environment, our element, the live streaming. So when we have new things to try, we need to try them on live streaming. There's no other way.
Oh, true. Whenever you find something new, you want to share it with everybody, and the best way to actually share is to actually go live about it. So when you find some new software or a new book or a new film, then you can go live, you can talk about it. When there's something happening in your business, you can go live and talk about it. And it's basically, it's difficult and easy at the same time. Going live is easy. You just need a camera and a microphone, and that's it. And the software, if you want to do it the easy way, you can use StreamYard or Be Live or Zoom. And that's all you need is a camera and a microphone. And you just sit down, you press the go live button, and you're live. That's how you can start. It is so simple and straightforward. And if you go live with friends, first of all, let's be honest here, nobody's going to see you. when you go live, even if you're able to go live on your LinkedIn page, nobody is going to see you, and they won't see you because you haven't told anybody. So if you don't tell anybody, you can practice and get it so that you're happy with it before you actually do tell people. Do you think that's fair?
Absolutely. it's good.
Yeah.
Because one thing we should be aware is we will always find people to criticize us. But but one thing I think that those who are watching us and are willing to try new things, to go to another way, to face some challenge and so on, those who already made your way, the path you're starting now, they will respect what you're doing because they know how hard it is to start, to face challenges. For instance, I don't know what happened to you. The first time I went blab, it was in September 2015. Oh my God, I felt in love, a deep passion about live streaming. It was huge, and I started wondering everything that could come along doing live streaming. I guess I was not wrong. 5 years later, I think that I didn't was, but I started talking to people, and they looked at me. Some like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Some that don't believe in me. Some think, well, maybe. Well, I understand that some of them were scared, or because facing the camera, it's always the thing. But that's the point. Sometimes, and the story of the humankind is filled with that examples. I'm not the Galileo or Neil Armstrong, of course, but I guess we can make little different things, little steps when you face the unknown, the challenges, with a smile in your face, and let's try it. Maybe, I guess, for instance, it's easy to get injured or something doing live streaming, so I guess you should try it at least. Don't you think, Steven?
Well, I agree. I mean, it's once you've done your first broadcast and enjoyed it, then you'll go on to the second and third. As Marco just said, I was the same. I saw Blab and I thought, wow, I can do this. I can tell stories. I can build an audience. I can make friends. And it is the best way of doing it. But you are going to get people who say, well, why? And the answer is because you're building a network. We've gone past the days where you could place an advert on Facebook and sell. That was the early days of Facebook. Now you have to work for your sales and you have to work for recognition. You've got to get to a situation where people know, like, and trust you. And that means that you've got to be seen. And video is the best way to be seen. You can tell personal stories, you can tell stories about your business, about things that have happened to you. And there are going to be people who think, don't like that, and they won't watch. But there will be people who do like that, and they will watch. And those are the people you want to make contact with, you want to talk to and get to know, because they are the people who down the road can recommend you. And that's what it's all about now. It's about when somebody's asked a question, who do you know who knows about live video on Facebook? Then you want the answer to be you. Who do you know who can do my accounts? You want the answer to be you if you're an accountant. So you've got to become known for what you do. And the best way to become known is to go live and to share and to help people. I think helping people, it goes a long way, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's my next question. My well, it's not. It's a point of reflection because it was the first time you invited someone to go in live with you to be your guest, because it's also the second challenge is, okay, now I want to give the next step, because I think you also started on solo, you and your guitar on the screen.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's the way we start, and then you think to yourself, okay, now if I broadcast for an hour, then I've got to talk for an hour, which is difficult. If I have a friend on the show, then I only have to talk for 30 minutes. If I have 3 friends on the show, I've got the same 1 hour show, but we're all talking for 15 minutes. So the more people you have on screen, the easier it gets on you. And that's how Blabbing for Britain came about. And I first got together with John Upton 5 years ago now and said, let's do a show about the UK news every Thursday at 10 o'clock. And basic thing is, we go to the BBC website, we look at the news topics of the day, take them down, put them on our agenda and say, right, okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. And we just go through the topics. That's how it began. Now, 211 weeks later, the show is still going. And the team of 4 have become firm friends. And we just enjoy broadcasting. I mean, we take an hour off from work, from our day. It's in our diaries. And 10 o'clock on Thursday, we go live and we just chat to each other. And we happen to be chatting about, as I say, things that have happened in the UK and in Europe and the States. So you can start, and you just, once you've started, it's difficult to stop. Because you've started on a slightly different type, because you really enjoy interviewing people and finding out about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And for instance, okay, we can speak about the funny part of the interview, which is okay, it's perfect to meet people, but we can also talk about the business part of doing interviews, about the marketing, and so because when I started with my interviews, I had in mind something. Well, more than lots of things, and one of them was to build my personal brand, because when you have some good guests on your show, it means that you are a little good, at least, because if someone accepts, for instance, if someone accepts an invitation to dinner with you, it means that he recognizes that you are a good person, that you are entertaining, or something. So if someone accepts the invitation to be on your show, it's good for you, because I used to call this the authority transmission, which is good. And also he or she can bring he or her community to your show, so you can have the chance to be known to lots of people. You can learn, for instance, I don't know if you do this. I guess you're not so evil like like I am. But one of the things I take advantage of my guests is to ask questions that I truly have, because it's nice to understand, to be helped with some doubts you have, some questions, and ask them directly, because it's another problem when you're starting anything. It's to ask people, because sometimes you're afraid of the no, and the no is granted. And if you say yes, do you know everything that could come across and everything you can win and all that? It's one problem. So how do you face it? How do you have a frame to invite people, or you are like me today? You ask me, do you want to join my show?
Well, if you don't ask, then basically you don't get. This I saw a broadcaster called Howden, and Howden was well known in the broadcasting community. She was Somalian. She moved to Canada and lived in Canada and worked for the major broadcasting corporations over there. And she decided that she was going to help the people in her country have a voice, because they didn't have one. Somalia is a war-torn country, and devastation, both natural devastation and wars, have racked the country and made it just impossible for many people to live. And she spent her life actually getting the message out. And I thought, I'm going to ask Howden, can I interview her? And I didn't expect anything, but I got a yes. I thought, wow. And she's in Canada, and the show's going out at 10 a.m. in the UK, which means it's 5 a.m. in Vancouver. And she was there, ready for the interview. Quarter of an hour before, we talked and we did the interview. 5 a.m. in the morning for her, 10 a.m. for me. And it's an interview I thought I'd never ever get. And you've got to ask. And if you ask, then you might just get a yes.
Absolutely, because that was one of the problems. And I think, Steven, that it may happen. For me, it happens for sure with you. It's people want to be on the show with you, because that's the real thing here. I think if you stop overthinking about, I shouldn't start because of this, because of that, because I'm scared, because of the lights, because of the sound, you will be stopping you to evolve, to do things better, to do things in a different way. Because in one show we talk about this, and it's true. You may, that's one good thing. Talking with other people, it's to see things in another point of view, to some new ideas that come to you. And you told that we are a little more even us than we are on the street when we are talking with friends. When we are doing live streaming, it's something I never figured it out. But then I think, oh, it's true, because most of the time I'm not so whoa when I'm talking, and that's true because. And today it's when I guess you have the same thing. When I ask people to, oh, do you want to be my guest? They say, oh, really? Oh, of course I want. I've seen some of your shows, and people seem to have so much fun. Here, for instance, in Spain and in Portugal, people start to see me as an expert. I don't like to, but it. And because I guess we didn't fear this of starting, we didn't fear the thing, and we enjoy it. Because that's the problem. I think most of the times we because some fears, we lose all the fun things, all the excitement of doing this. Can we share some insights about it? I guess you have lots of things, because I think. That lots of people told you, Steven, what are you doing live streaming? Or do you want to be a TV star?
No, I just want to help people tell their stories, and everybody's got a story to tell, whether it be personal or abstract, it be politics or anything, any topic at all. And it's basically, we all have mentors, people we look up to, and people who sort of show us how it should be done. And as far as interviewing is concerned, there's a gentleman in the UK called Michael Parkinson. Michael Parkinson in the 70s and 80s hosted chat shows on the BBC. And he interviewed the Hollywood A-list, he interviewed Muhammad Ali, he interviewed Michael Caine, he interviewed, you name them, then he interviewed them. And the thing that he was able to do in his interviews, first of all, he did his research. He knew, or his researchers helped him at the BBC, and they came up with a list of questions that he was going to ask his guest. But he'd been told what the answers were, so that when he was interviewing them, he was able to do it in such a way that the guest was at ease straight away, because they thought, Michael is interested in me, he knows about me, which was true, but he was able to make people relax. And I think when we're live on video, one of the things that you've got to do to yourself and you've got to do for your guests is to make everybody relaxed. So I just treat it very simply as that we're meeting in a cafe over a cup of coffee, which nobody can see, and we're just chatting away, and that's it. So the camera disappears because we're talking to each other. Yeah, like now. I mean, it's as if Portugal and UK are coming together, and we're actually just enjoying a chat, and it's so relaxed. And that's the atmosphere that you want to get into your broadcasts. What you want is for people to be drawn in, and they're drawn in when people smile, when people laugh, and when people look like they're having a good time. Now, obviously, there are topics where you can't do that. I'm not going to say every show or every broadcast should be like that. But if as a host, you aim for that, to put your guests at ease so that people want to watch and your guests can tell their stories. The more relaxed people are, the more they will say. And I just enjoy doing it. I'm a catalyst. I'm there asking the questions and helping people tell their stories. You're the same, Marco.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's the good thing about live streaming, and I guess talking another time about the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of times it happens that our guest, it's the first time, or at least it's a newbie doing this, and he or she is also frightened about this of a live show. And I think it's good when you, with your experience, you give some options to them to how to face the thing, how to conduct the thing. Look, and I like to do this. Look, we can do this way. For instance, as you said, you can send me 5 questions, which we're gonna start by these questions, and then we go with the flow. Or it's totally free, or else. Well, I would like I give the questions and then they'll answer. I guess it's good to your guests to see this opening to them to watch this wheel, to help to make them comfortable, because it's I guess we can go always to the same point, to ease the things. And for instance, we started by solo, which it's harder maybe, or it's crazy. I don't know, maybe both. But I guess it's good when you have some more experience to help others to make it better. And there's one thing important that you talked about, Steven, and we can discuss this, because it is when you want to work consistently with guests, you have to do the things right with the former guests. Because people, you ask them, I want to have you as a guest. Okay, let me see how you made it, how you did things, how you do things. And if they don't like the way you treat, the way you manage the show, I guess it's not hard to know which answer you will get.
Well, I agree. Reputation's everything, and you're in control. I mean, it's your show. You're inviting the guests. You decide who you actually have on the show. So you make sure that you're compatible with them. I know we've talked about this before, Marco. The other thing is that you've got to have a good reputation. And the way to build that reputation is by respecting your guests. If you've got a guest on the show, then the idea is that the people have actually come to watch and listen to your guest. So you should not be talking more than your guest. Your guest should be saying more than you do. That's the first guideline. And the guest must feel that they're the center of attention. They're your center of attention, and the viewer's center of attention as well. And if you can do that, and you can have your guest at ease, and you look after your guests before the show, during the show, and importantly, after the show as well. So you thank them for the show, you say how good the show was, give them an appreciation of the fact that they spent their time with you. Because the commodity that we're actually selling actually is time, our time and their time. And it's very good of them to actually come as a guest. So if they feel valued as guests, then not only can you have them back to a second interview sometime down the road, but when they're asked about the interview, they will give you a glowing reference without you saying, if anybody asks, tell them I'm good. You don't need to do that. If you've done your job right, then they will tell your story of how much they enjoyed the show, how they were able to reach out and interact with the audience, and the real value they got from going live on your show. And if it works that way, it's not hard. It's just a question of respect and being caring about your guest, I suppose. Because we do care about our guests, don't we?
Hey, absolutely, yeah. And that's the other thing about live streaming. We talked about it last week when we discussed the 10 mistakes, the top 10 mistakes. What another thing? It's I guess when we do live streaming, we have to listen. As we used to listen in Allo Allo. I don't know if you watched the series Allo Allo, and there was a character that used to say, "Please listen carefully. I shall say this only once."
That's true. That's true.
And that's one
Yeah.
thing we should as an interviewer, or even when we doing solo, we should listen. And because that's one thing is what you said, make the other feel important, make well, I was listening.
I know. I can tell.
But it's important. It's important in at least two ways. First one, you make feel your guest like they are important to, they are listening, their opinions matter. And then it's good for you to make the next question, to put next question. It's good to come to listen, to do that. And also it's important to listen your community, because they, if you do things properly, they will come with ideas and they will respect you because you are providing them solutions, providing them answers
Hmm.
to their needs, to their questions. I guess there's a gentleman from UK. I don't know if he lives close to Stonehenge, which is, for
Hmm.
instance, in the Be Lives group, always there,
Ah,
watching. And because it's another thing when you belong to a community, and the community, the value of the community, it's not by herself, it's by the people who are there to help you and to bring ideas and solutions to your
hmm.
problems and so on, and to bring also some enjoying and this. But it's important to be aware and to help people, because if you want to grow the community, if you want to grow your name, your brand, your uh, because your brand, your own brand, your personal brand is a big asset that you should work. And helping the people is a nice way to make it, right, Steve?
Totally, totally. I mean, being able to pass on knowledge freely is one of the great things about networking. I mean, live video is networking at its best, but behind the scenes, as Marco said, there are groups in which you can help people. And if you have the expertise, you can share it, and you eventually, if somebody wants to know, then they say, "Oh, go and see Marco," and that's the way it works. And you do that not by saying, "Hello, I'm Marco, I'm your expert." You don't do that. We would never do that. What you do, well, you can do that a bit, I suppose, but or I'm Stephen, and you know, but what you're actually doing is building reputation, because people see you. They see you being active. They see you helping other people. They see that you are knowledgeable. They see that you're professional. They see that you are good at what you do. And that takes time, but it will happen. I mean, when I got started in networking, which was 2005, I think, everybody said you've got to get to the stage where people know, like, and trust you. And once you've done that, once you become the go-to person, then you've made it. I thought, there are billions of people out there. How do you become the one person? Well, it's not the billions of people that matter. It's the fact that your circle of contacts and friends get to know you, get to know who you are. So you don't have to convince the world. You just have to convince your network. And you do that by answering questions. You do it one step at a time. You do it by listening, as Marco said, and you do it by sharing the knowledge. Knowledge is there to be shared. The thing is that when you share your knowledge, you're sharing something you learned from somebody else. And you're doing it without saying, Peter told me this, or John told me this. You're actually sharing knowledge which you feel people should have. And solving problems is basically what I've done when I was writing software. And you became the go-to person for software. Now, hopefully, working towards becoming the go-to person for video. But as today has been a total new experience on vMix. And Marco, will you be using vMix for your future interviews?
Yeah, I think I do. At least, meanwhile, VLive doesn't come with the possibility of LinkedIn, because for me it's really important to
Yeah.
be on LinkedIn. For instance,
Hmm.
it was the first time I saw the notification. You could go live on LinkedIn. I said,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" I screamed.
Oh, yeah. I'm
And
not surprised.
on the
I
same
will.
day, on the same day, I was doing live on LinkedIn. I guess I may be
Uh-huh.
reaching the 20 broadcastings on LinkedIn. It's well,
Yeah.
it's addicting. But one thing you talk about it, and another about this of listening people, for instance, on the group support and all kinds of things.
Hmm.
It's that I will say that maybe 30-40% of the times people ask something, I don't know the solution, but I'll go search for it.
Well,
because
yeah, that's it. Mm. Yeah.
because there's one thing, and as a professional, and the role of a professional is to help people with solutions that
Mm.
they couldn't find it, they don't want to find them by themselves, and so on.
Yeah.
You should be the solution provider. So it's
Mm.
good for you to be there, listening and watching what problems people have, so you can, if you can solve it now, perfect, or you can go find the answer. And I guess you like that. I think one of the things that we have in common, it's to be curious minds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Always. There's always something to learn. I mean, there are things that in live broadcasting I know nothing about. I don't know anything about DSLR cameras. I don't know anything about mixers. I don't know any. Well, I could. There's a long list. But I can share the knowledge on what I do know, and that's the good part of it, is to actually share the knowledge you do have. As Marco said, you can find the answer, and if you Google something and you've got the answer and you read and you understand, then you can share that understanding with the people who asked the original question. There's no way that any one of us can know all the answers, but we do have access to it. Even if we don't know, and Google doesn't know, then there are people that we know who do. So we can ask them, or we can bring them into the conversation. And there are a whole host of ways where you're actually, it's like conducting an orchestra, and the music is from Google, it's from your friends, it's from experts that you've interviewed, and you can bring all that together, and you can then get an answer for anybody and any question. But I think one thing to be wary of is you've got to try and give the right answer. And if you prefix it with "I'm not sure, but I think," then you're being fair to everybody. We don't know it all, but we can find out, I
Really, really.
think.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things. There you go.
It's okay, come back.
One of the things and I guess here equal, it's the that fear of pushing buttons. People, should I hit this button or no? And for instance, since I guess Wednesday, or that, I always forget the Thursday. The day after
Mhm.
Wednesday is Thursday.
It is, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have here my note. I was look for his. There's one thing. I'm constantly looking on YouTube for new solutions to live stream, sound, web cameras,
Hmm.
and I'm always there searching for things. And then I've seen this vMix, and because look, I haven't tried OBS, even though I knew the tool, even though
Hmm.
people talk really good about it. I haven't tried OBS since I got LinkedIn availability to go in live. So
Hmm.
you see.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
there is. Yeah. Sorry.
your turn.
There's so many choices, and if you're going live on your own, then OBS, vMix, XSplit, uh, wide variety, many cam. But you get your favorites, don't you? And what the thing is that you see a piece of software and you fall, and it sounds crazy, but you actually fall in love with that piece of software, and it doesn't matter what anybody else shows you. That's the one you're going to use because that's the one where it fits like a glove. You're happy with it. You know how to work it, and it does what it's supposed to. And it's a journey because to actually find out which one is best, you've got to try them all.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to start maybe in the second quarter of this year is to making courses and mentoring about live streaming.
Hmm.
So I have to know how everything works, or at least almost everything, so I can help people with the better tools, how to manage, how to
Hmm.
play them, and everything. So I'm well. To be honest, I think this vmix it's really good. But for
Oh,
instance,
it is.
for the
Yeah.
newbie, forget about it, because and it's fun. I will have to say, because people used to ask me, well, why don't you make recorded videos, because the quality is better and you
Mm.
can make it some production. And I said, well, because I don't like to be seated on the front of the software editing and so on. I like
Mm.
one of the things I like about live streaming, it's that almost 10%, 100% of the production is doing its result. I mean, if you
Mm.
are in front of camera 1 hour, it's almost 1 hour of content you're making, or it's
Mm.
almost that. And for instance, when you are recording to make a 10-minute video, you spend 2, 3, 4 hours, depending in what you want
Yeah.
to make. And I was
Yeah.
saying this, but since I found vmix, for instance, yesterday I had dinner, and then I
Uh-huh.
came here. I was trying everything. How can I change the scene?
Yeah.
How can I bring this to the screen, and so on? So I'm spending lots of time, because, but I guess we should make the things as we want, as they make sense.
Mm. Hmm.
Because, for instance, I was reading, I'm reading a book from Mark Manson, I guess is the name of the guy, Mark Manson. Uh, he
Yeah.
has this one, which is a real nice good. Well, it's in the subtle art of not giving a fuck. It's kind of, and
Okay. Yeah.
and he has another one. I don't know the translation. And one thing it talks about, and it's my case. He says, when we were 20s, we like to go to the disco, party, drinking, and all that kind
Hmm.
of stuff. And that now I'm on the 40s.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean anything to you. And people, some, oh, you should have fun and so on. And he said the problem is that the things that gave you fun on the 20s are not the
Yeah.
same that are giving you
Oh,
fun today. For me, it is
that's
more
true.
pleasant to be on the front now, on front of the computer. Oh, let me see how does it work. And if I hit this button, what happens?
Mm.
And and I think it's one thing, and I guess it will be nice to close the show to talk about, if you can share with us, because I guess today we have the, I don't know how to say, this fashion thing, this uh, thing that you should do this or to have fun. We have this pressure that we
Hmm.
you can always have fun, or be happy if you have a fancy car. If you go to, for instance, you're on the garden. I'm here on
I,
my
I,
loft. I need to go to IKEA
like,
to
like,
to buy some furnitures. What do you think
right.
about it? This
I
pressure
think
of
that
doing the things the way influencers do, for instance, and all
that,
that.
that there is no reason to follow the crowd. Uh, we free to make our own choices, and your values change as you grow older, and you realize that you can have all the wonderful things around you. Most important is family. Have your family around you. That's never going to change however old you are. But the thing that does change is that it's not about things. It's about people, and can bring it back to live networking. When we're live on video, what we're actually doing is reaching out to you, hope and wanting to make contact with you and chat with you after the show. Live video is not the end of everything, it's the beginning of a journey, and you're all invited to actually join Marco and I on this journey anytime you like. How's that?
Perfect. Well, Steven, 12.
Okay.
It was a pleasure having you here. I don't know if you have another final message to wrap up.
The final message is, if you're thinking about going live in 2020, you need help. And I'm going to ask Marco to translate this into Portuguese next time we're live here. Then contact Marco. It's simple as, if anybody knows all about live broadcasting and knows how to help you, then it's Marco. And if you should happen to try out BeLive.tv, then you can contact me. End of.
Oh, let me change the screen. Well, Steven, it was a pleasure to have you here on my show. We'll see together next
Tuesday at 4:00.
Yeah. Well, Steven, you're invited to join my. I guess I will do more than one show tomorrow. It's my 100th show and the second anniversary of the special Marketing Live show. It will be only on Facebook because it was where it started. So I'm gonna use BeLive to make the show. So Steven, you have to be there. Please.
I will be
find
there.
some space on your agenda, please.
Always happy to join you.
Well, it was one of the great discoveries on my show. It was you, of course. Well, you're all invited to join tomorrow. I'm gonna put the schedule here on my network so you can join us and share some insights. If you want to come to the show, also you can join me, and then we can talk a little bit. Okay? See you. Well, maybe tonight, this evening. I'm gonna get back, and bye bye. Ciao ciao.
Bye from Wiltshire. Bye.